the truth that is out there that they're ignoring. But I'm wondering, you said the president's admitted this. You also had the Speaker of the House of the state of Georgia, another Republican, saying that if more people get out and voted, Republicans would lose elections. And so they have given up the game. Is this Donald Trump also maybe preparing for those states that do vote by mail, preparing already to undermine any results that may be unfavorable to him in the fall?
Yes, super important, Joe. I think on Friday, when you saw President Trump asked in the briefing about whether he favored these efforts that are now underway all over the country to try to extend vote by mail, the president said, "I'm not for vote by mail. It's a recipe for corruption. I think you should have to show up at a polling place with an ID card with your picture on it. That's the only vote that's legitimate." That's what Trump said on Friday. Now, apparently he doesn't realize that like 50-some million people voted by mail in 2016. So we already have widespread vote by mail in this country. I'm sure everyone who watches this show knows that. But Trump is basically trying to say that vote by mail itself is inherently illegitimate. And that is a way for him, I think, to start laying down the predicate for in an election where there's no doubt there's going to be more absentee balloting and more vote by mail than there ever has been before. He's laying down the predicate so that if he loses the election in November, he will stand up and say, this election was rife with fraud. We had way too much vote by mail. I do not accept the results of the election. I guarantee you that President Trump is thinking already about trying to build that predicate so he can dispute the legitimacy of the election on this basis.
All right, Gene Robinson, you write in the Washington Post, the one word that proves why President Trump should not be president, what is it?
Hydroxychloroquine, the anti-malaria drug also used for autoimmune conditions that President Trump is touting as the magic bullet against COVID-19, as one of the greatest game changers in the history of medicine, when his medical and science advisors tell him it's definitely not that there is no evidence that it is. But that word, I said that encompasses the reasons why Donald Trump should never be president, because it shows so much about the way he makes decisions. He's not listening to Tony Fauci, one of the world's greatest experts in infectious disease. He's listening to Rudy Giuliani and Peter Navarro and other cronies of his who are telling him about this drug, and they're doing it based on anecdote. Some doctor friend of theirs said, "Boy, this is really effective. It really works. You should get behind that." Trump has made up his mind that this is the solution to COVID-19, despite evidence to the contrary. This is the way he operates. This is Donald Trump in action.
Well, and Peter Baker for the New York Times, this is in the Times this morning. Associates, and I'm quoting here directly, associates of Mr. Trump has financial interest in the issue. Sanofi's largest shareholders include Fisher Asset Management, the mutual fund company run by Ken Fisher, a major donor to Republicans, including Mr. Trump. A spokesman for Fisher declined to comment. Another investor in both Sanofi and Mylan, another pharmaceutical firm, is Invesco, the fund previously run by Wilbur Ross, the Commerce Secretary. Mr. Ross said in a statement Monday he was not aware that Invesco had any investments in companies producing the drugs. As of last year, Mr. Trump reported that his three family trusts each had investments in a Dodge and Cox mutual fund, whose largest holding was in Sanofi. Gene.
Yeah, as Joe, as Deep Throat never actually said, follow the money. And so two things are possible here. It is possible that Donald Trump is perfectly aware of these investments and his potential stake in this drug, and that this is all deliberate. It's also possible that he's open to manipulation by friends and cronies, his billionaire Mar-a-Lago friends, who have these investments and who are pushing him in this direction. This is just not a man who is capable of rising to the challenge of this moment, and you see it every day.
Gene Robinson and John Heilemann, thank you all so much. We will be